We're in O3 user field validation, and we're just using the one simple model user-based model because we want to show how we can apply field level validation. So example, we're going to be validating the last name. So we can import in the field validator from Pydantic. We come down, and what we're looking at is their before and after. Before means before it's actually kind of processed by Pydantic validation. After means it's past Pydantic validation, so we know its type's all right, and then we're doing something afterwards. And a validation is both a validator and a transformation. We can apply transformation as well, as we'll see. So by default, they're after. And what we do is we're just showing the order. On the last name, we've got after validator 1, that's just checking for a length. We've got validator 2, and we've got validator 3. And notice the order, it's 1, 2, 3 coming down here. And you can put these in any order. The order that they'll be applied will be the same. So we now use a mode before for the last name where we're doing before validator 1. And I'm just saying it's the nearest one to the model itself. So as we're coming down here, this is the nearest one. We're applying a second one. We're doing similar different value. Here we're just returning just to show the order. And then in the very final one, if it's the furthest away, it's validator 3. And we're doing some validations beforehand. If we come down here into the before validator and the after validator, we're checking the length. We're checking that it's uppercase, for example, will be one of our tests. If not, we'll raise a value error. We don't raise a validation error, which we typically do in Pydantic. We need to actually return this time a value error so that it bubbles up and is caught by Pydantic. If we were to do the validation error that you might be expecting, this won't give us the same result. So if we come down here and do a CLS, let's do CLS again, and we want actually number 3. And to make that order easier, I've got a little image in images here, order before and after. You can see that we've listed after validator 1, 2, 3, before validator 1, 2, 3. The order it will actually run is for after validation, it runs 1, 2, 3, but the before validator actually runs 3, 2, and 1. And I think this is about the ordering of decorating, but we'll see that. It should be, one would have expected to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and to see the before validator first, even though it's afterwards. We can basically, it be this one. In fact, the order would be this, 3, 2, 1, then it'd be 1, 2, 3 of the after validators. So let's just run this. And if we go up to the top, we will see the before validator, the 3, the one that was furthest away is run, then 2, then 1, then the after validation. And if we actually have a look what gets printed out, notice that in one of our after validations, we capitalized the brown. If we come back and see our functions, O3, we will see the very last one. Or is it the very first one? Sorry, it's the after validations. So after validation 3, the furthest away, we return it all in upper. So you can see it's not just a check. In this case, we're checking that it doesn't begin with either a small c or a big C. That's one of the checks we're doing. So if we come up here and firstly reduce the length of the data. So if we come here and just call it a 3-letter B and run that, you will see the validation error. Last name must be at least 3 characters. If we do, for example, C, and we can do many different characters, it's going to check for either lower or uppercase C to start with. So let's check that one out. Last name must not start with a C in sensitive case. So we're checking that out. So that's how we can do our validations. We've also seen, and notice how it doesn't run through all of them. What we find if we've got many different validations, I don't think it runs through all of them. So we've got C here. If we do, and the other one is length of 3, capital B must start with a B. What are our different orders? We're checking for length is less than 3. It must start with a capital letter. And it can't be a C lower or upper as our little checks. So let's make this be lowercase. Let's see what happens with this. Valid last name must start with an uppercase letter. So this is a model how we can apply validations. And let's just check what if there's a few different errors. So let's say that the last name, let's say the age is not specified. We said it must be supplied. If we run all of these, do we get 2 errors or do we just get the 1? Name null is not fine. That's a name error. And the traceback, let's see what else we get. Coming down here, that should be an error and that should be an error, but actually when it's going through here, it comes up with the name null is not defined. That might be a data, so that's wrong data coming in. So I see that should be null. So let's do that. So that's of the wrong type. Let's run that again. So it picks up all the validation errors, must start with an uppercase, and it can't pass string as an integer. So this once again shows that Pydantic actually goes through all the errors and lists all of them, not so that it gives you one error, you fix it, then you get another error, and you keep going to and fro. It does it so that you see all the errors that you need to do and you can fix them all in one go. So if we fix this all in one go, we say that is 42. And we can fix this error. So we're fixing 2 errors rather than just 1 error at a time and going forwards. Clear that out. And all things pass. So this is a nice template because it shows how to use all the field level validations, stroke transformations on any particular field. You've got before or after. You may have dirty data coming in which case you might need to do a transformation or validation before it gets to Pydantic, or just change something so that it will pass validation through Pydantic, or you might want to do something after it's passed validation in Pydantic and before it's inserted into the model.